Good morning, Fantastic Fours. Lovely to have you back with us again. Looking forward to another maths lesson. I hope that you're enjoying it, and more importantly than that, I hope that you're actually understanding the maths. That's probably more important than your enjoyment, although I do hope that it's not too tedious and boring. Let's get on to today's lesson. It's just a reminder, if you have any questions, you can email me, WorksheetCloud.com, and after the lesson, click on the link above, do the worksheet just to make sure that you've understood what it is that we are doing. So I keep going on about the importance of times tables and mental arithmetic. So our daily practice of mental arithmetic is on the next slide. There are 10 questions. I'm going to give you 40 seconds to do it. These ones relate to a particular times table. I'm sure you'll see which one it is as soon as we go, but you don't need to they're not in order. So all you do is you write down the answer on a piece of paper. Make sure you've got one. If you don't, pause the video and go get one quick. You don't need to write the question, and once we're done, we'll go through and we can check how well you did. Okay, your 40 seconds start now. Halfway there. Time's up. Let's go through. You can see they all relate to the 3 times table. 3 times 3 is 9. 5 times 3 is 15. Excuse me. 8 times 3 is 24. 11 times 3 is 33. 4 times 3 is 12. 9 times 3 is 27. 10 times 3 is 30. 2 times 3 is 6. 7 times 3 is 21. 6 times 3 is 18. If you missed any of those, just rewind the video, watch it again, and check how well you did. So times table is very important, although when you get it like this, it's mental arithmetic. So because it's not in order, you're not working out, we're not doing your times table to find it. Yeah, I'd like us to get even quicker than 4 seconds per problem, but we've got to start somewhere. On to today's lesson. There are different ways that we represent numbers, and every time I teach this section, there are children who just groan. They're like, oh, numbers in words, numbers in expanded notation. But I think actually a lot of that groan is because they don't necessarily have a good grasp of it yet, and hopefully once you've done this lesson, you'll see the patterns and you'll be able to find it easier and hopefully not groan too much. It might still take you a little longer to write all the things out, but at least it might be a bit more satisfying that you're getting things correct. So, lesson goals: recognize that there are different ways to represent numbers and be able to represent numbers in digits or numerals. That means the same thing, and words. I do have expanded notation on the slide as well, but I suspect we're not going to get to that if I want to cover the other two in a way that's going to make sure that you've got it. This is digits or in numeral form. So you can see there's an example of what it looks like, 13,452. That's how we read that number. And that's basically when people say they want to show a number in digits or in numeral form, they basically mean a number the way that we would normally write it. The next thing to look at is numbers in words. So this is that same number, but this time written in words. So 13,452, and it's in words. Don't know how you could get that wrong, but it makes sense that when you say to write a number in words, you're writing it in language, in words. I'm not going to go to the next slide because I suspect we're not going to get there yet. I'm going to jump across to the whiteboard and have a look at what we've got over here. So I've found that children struggle to read out or say the names of big numbers, and because they can't say them, they struggle to write them in words. And what I've also found is that when we think of them as being in houses, it becomes a lot easier for us to say the number and then to write the number. So I look at our units house. This one should be very familiar. This is our units house. That is 614. So 600s, 110, and 4 units. That's our units house. And I think that most of you would be able to read 614. Then we get across to the thousands house, and we have 10,000s, sorry, thousands, 100,000, 10,000s, 100,000s. And what I particularly want you to notice is that we have the word 100 over there, the word 10 over there, and this one is just the house name. Oh, I should probably do a different color for that one. This one is just the house name. So the units house and the thousands house. Let's see if that continues into our millions house. So millions house is the purple one. Well, we also have the word 100 over there. We also have the word 10 over there. And our millions house is the word that's over there. So there's definitely some kind of pattern going on here. So how do we then read a number like this out? Well, I wish I could put my hands on the screen and cover it up, but unfortunately it doesn't work like that. So I'm going to underline the part that I want you to have a look at. So right now we are only going to look at what's in this house over here. Now I want you to ignore all the other numbers, and I just want you to look at those 3 digits, the 1, the 3, and the 8. If I just gave you, let me do it, let me just move a little bit up, there we go, so I can write at the bottom. If I wrote the number 138 like that, which is the numbers that are in my millions house, would you be able to read that number for me? Because if you can, 138, then this is actually not as difficult as it seems. Because all we need to do is read what's in the house and then name the house. So 138 million. That's how we read the first part of the number. Ooh. Let's now look only at the thousands house. Can you read that number in the thousands house? Well, I'm going to write out just that number, 283, 283,000. That's how we read it. And you've already told me that you can read 614. So if we needed to write this in words, we would look at it like that. So I'm going to shift it a little bit up here so I've got a bit more space. I'm going to look at the first part. I had 138 over there. So I'm going to write 138. And then I'm going to say the name of the house, million. Now, because I'm separating the houses, I'm going to put a comma. There's my comma that separates the house. Then I'm going to look at the thousands house. Oh, I should have done that in colors. I'm going to switch to doing colors now. So I'm looking at the thousands house. 200 and 83,000. That's the name of the thousands house. I'm going to put in a comma to separate my house. And finally, my yellow house, 614. And that's how we write it in numbers. So what we've got to keep remembering is that when we look at it, we just look at what's in that house, we say that number and then the house name. And then we put a comma and go on to the next one. Okay, let's move down a bit. We may have to scroll up again. And I'm going to give you a number and ask you to put that into words. So first up, we're going to go from words into digits, or into numbers, into numerals. Right, 506. Oh, I can't even say it out loud. That one into words, please. I'm going to write down the next two as well, and then I'll go through the answers with you. If you finish one, why don't you start with two? Right, I'm going to have a look at the first one. I'm going to use my colors. So yellow was my hundredths house. I'm a units house. I've only got units or things from the units house. So 516. Just like that. For the next one, I also have ones in the thousands house. So that would be my thousands house. I don't have any 100,000s. I only have 10,000s and unit thousands or 1,000s. But all I need to do is to be able to look at these houses. So my first house is from here to here. My next house is those three. All I've got to do is to be able to read that house's number and then put the name of the house. So if you can read that number, which I'm sure most of you can, we're going to put that number and then say the name of the house. So 21,000. It's the name of the house. Between houses, I'm putting a comma. Now I'm just looking at that number. 634. There we go. Scrolling down to do the next one. If you'd like to try this one on your own, then just pause the video while I do it, and you can then play the video again afterwards. So again, looking at my houses, every 3 digits is a house. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we've got all of the ones from our units house and all of the ones from our thousands house. We're going to start off by reading the ones in our thousands house. So 150. And the name of the house, 1,000. Then we comma to separate the houses. Now we're into our units house. I can read this number, it's 296. "90" is a very oddly spelt word. We actually spell it 90, 96. You will also notice that I'm hyphenating the last two when it's 34 or 96 or something like that. That is how we are supposed to do it. It's a language thing, but I guess we're writing it in words, so it is language. Anyway, let's do number 4. First up, I'm going to check how many houses I've got. So I've got these 3 as my first house, these 3 as my second house, nothing in my third house. Maybe that will be the next question. I'm going to start with my thousands house. So that looks like 308. And we name the house 1000. Comma to separate the houses. I can read this number in the units house. It's 205. Number 5, I'm going to give you one that has something in the millions house, but not a full millions house. So let's go with. I'm also this time not going to put the space in. Many people do put in the space between the houses because it makes numbers easier to read, but lots of people do not. And I'd like you to be able to deal with it either way. So in the next question, and in fact from now on, I'm not going to separate the houses nice and neatly. I have done it in the worksheet for you to check for your homework. Oh, there I'm doing it naturally. Okay, so I'm first off going to just check my houses. Oh, let me do the right colors seeing as I am using colors. There's my units house, it's those 3. Next 3 will be my thousands house. And the next 3 will be my millions house. I don't have anything in those 2 spots, but that's the millions house. So let me look. What is that number in the millions house? It's a 1. So I've got 1 million. Oh, separating the house with a comma. Next house is my green house, my thousands house. I can read the number above the green line. That says 381. Separating houses with a comma. Onto my units house, 657. Hectic. Okay, I've got 2 more I'd like to do. No, 1 more I'd like to do. And going this way, it's actually easier. And then after that, we're going to go from words into numbers, which then is a little bit more tricky. It's where people can make a few mistakes. Not more tricky, it just needs a little bit more practice. Okay, 6. All right, it's when we've got lots of zeros that we sometimes end up with problems. Left the space again. Okay, let's first of all put them into our families. So we have our units family, and we have our thousands family. We don't have any in the millions family. So we're going to start off looking at our thousands family. I'm sure you can read the number that's above the green line, 500. Separating my families, I'm going to put in my comma. Some people might argue that you don't need it for this one. I'd like to just keep the formula that we're using or the pattern that we're using, that we always separate with a comma. And that number, we don't say 068 or 068. We just say that number is 68. We just don't have any hundreds. That's fine. So, and 68. And there we go. 500. Oh, no. I missed out the word 1000. My teacher would have marked me wrong. So first got to put the name of the house. 1000. Then we put the comma to separate the house. Then we say, and 68. Okay, so we've had some practice now going this way around. Next up, we're going to go from the words and put it into the numbers. Because the writing takes a little while, I'm just going to pause the video while I write it. Amazing, so brilliant. Managed to write all of that in just, it was there. Okay, so now this time we're going from words back to numerals or back to digits, numbers. Okay, you'll see when we get to 3 why I'm going to do what I'm going to do now. But what I'm going to do is start by drawing the places for my families. So I'm going to do it in color. You wouldn't normally do this in color. But if I look at that number, 605, I've definitely got my family of units. So there's my space for my units family. I don't have any millions, but I do have my thousands family. So I'm going to draw my space for my thousands family. Now let me have a look to see what there is. Okay, 423,000. All of that is going to be in there because it's in the thousands family. So 423, I can write 423 and it's in the thousand family. Boom, done. Let's have a look at what's in the units family. 605. I can write 605 and there we go. We have now written it in numerals. It's so much easier to write in numerals than words. Okay, next one. Let's have a look. 8 million. Oh, we've got a millions. So we're going to draw space for all of our millions family. Truth is, once you've got millions, you're going to have spaces for all your other families as well, even if there's no one in them. Okay, but let's now have a look. Now that we've drawn the 3 families that we're going to need, let's look. 8 million. Okay, well, if I was just drawing 8, I would draw an 8 over there. And that's where you draw it. So 8 is in the units. So 8 million, that's 8 million. Let's look at our 100,000. So 203,000. I can write 203 in the thousands family. 107. I can write 107. And there we go. That is 8,203,107. The next one, let's have a look. And this is, as I reminded you, this is why I was having a look and I was making sure to draw all the right spaces before I filled in my letters. Okay, I see the words 27 million. That means I have at least got to have my millions family and everyone lower than that. So let's draw those in. 1, 2, 3 for my millions family. 1, 2, 3 for my thousands family. And 1, 2, 3 for my units family. Let's start with the millions family. 27 million. I can write 27 in the millions family. There we go. Let's see. 618. Oh, that's in my units family. 618. 618 I can do. But what do I do with all that stuff in the middle there? Well, I just don't have any there. So the answer is I put zeros. So I could have written that number 27,000,618, but it seems a bit silly to write 0,000, and so we just leave it out and we go straight to the next family. And this is why it's so important that you draw the families before you start, so that you don't accidentally end up writing this number 27618, which is not the right answer. So that's why I like to get into the habit of doing that. I'm going to put up another 3 for you to do without me. And go. I'll give you about 30 seconds for each of those. If you'd like longer, you can pause it. And then I'll give you the answer. I'm going to start with my layout so long. So I see that the biggest family I have for number 4 is my millions family, so I'm going to draw all the families from the millions down. I'm going to look at 5. I see the biggest family I have is the millions, so I'm going to draw the millions all the way down. Also have millions in the number 6, so I'm going to draw all my families from millions all the way down. Right, if you'd like a little bit more time, pause it. I'm going to do number 4 now. So I'm going to look, it says 106 million. I can write 106. There we go. 300,000. I can write 300. 300. 206. I can write 206. And there we go. I've written 106,300,206. Number 5, again, pause if you'd like to. 7 million is my 7. 512,000. 512 in the thousands family. 19 in my units family. And because I've got no hundreds, I'm going to put a 0 there, and there's my answer. That's why it's key to draw all your placeholders in before you start doing it. Otherwise, you might have missed that 0. Last one, slightly different. Wanted to do this one just to make sure that we're all on the right track. So 56 million, well, 56 in the millions family. 475,000, I can do 475. Oh, and that's it. Well, I guess that means that there is no one in the units family. And there, that's how we write 56,475,000. There we go. This is one of those things that takes a little bit of practice. And so tomorrow, or not tomorrow, tomorrow's the weekend, in our next lesson, I am going to do a little bit of revision of this, and then I'm going to go on to what you'll see now in the next slide and cover that as well. I'm not going to touch on it anymore today, but it's expanded notation. Yeah, we'll touch on that in the next lesson. So that then is all there is for today. I hope that you've understood, or that you're able to at least take words and put it into numbers, or numbers and put it into words. That takes longer because you have to write it all out. But as long as you understand the formula or the process, it's actually not that difficult. As long as you remember your families and how to separate them, you should be A for a way. If you have any questions, email me, grade4@worksheetcloud.com. After you've finished here, click on the link above to do the worksheet just to check you've done it. There is one thing, the last 2 questions you might find a little bit more tricky. I haven't touched on it this lesson. I will touch on it next lesson in revision. So try it anyway, and if it's too much, if you're struggling, just leave it out because I will cover it in our next lesson. Have an awesome rest of the day and good long weekend. Goodbye, grade 4s.